Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Live on TV3 with me, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up within the next 1 hour, here are the top stories. We'll be starting from the Greater Accra region, where heavy police presence at Aveeno in Accra. This was as a result of some land dispute that nearly turned chaotic. Details coming up shortly. We'll take you to the courts, where prosecution in Major Mohammed's case adds a new suspect. This time it's a driver who was in possession of Major Mohammed's mobile phone several days after the case has been in court. We'll bring you details on that. And we'll go to Parliament because the minority are accusing the finance minister of distorting figures during the media review on Monday. Details of all these stories, including business, sports, entertainment, all coming up. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. We start from the major issues having to do with the president's commitment to helping the Ghanaian economy. Now, President Akufo-Addo has repeated that government's decision to fix Ghana's economy to create more jobs for the teeming youth is top priority for them. Speaking at the swearing-in of the 5 new envoys, the president is of the view that his flagship programs will address the unemployment situation in Ghana.
The 5 newly sworn-in envoys are Ambassador to the Republic of Korea, Eja Akukusi, and Ambassador to Czech Republic, Virginia Hesse. Francisca Asiedu-Dartey is the High Commissioner for Kenya, Ambassador Alowi Leokaba for Benin, and Professor Puku Buzia, Ambassador to Brazil. President Akufo-Addo urged the envoys to deepen bilateral ties between Ghana and their respective countries. He charged them to also attract financial investments to support government flagship programs.
Remember vividly the slogans of our flagship programs: one district, one factory, one village, one dam, planting for food and jobs. They are descriptions of our commitment to the rapid development and transformation of the nation's industrial and agricultural sectors.
The president again spoke about plans to create jobs for the teeming youth.
One of our biggest challenges is to fix the economy we inherited. They voted for us to fix the economy and put our country on the path of progress and prosperity. Indeed, we've begun to fix the economy. In the mid-year review presented on Monday by the brilliant Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, shows that we are on track. We will fix the economy. We will bring jobs and prosperity to Ghana.
Ambassador for the Republic of Brazil, Professor Puku Buzia, assured the president of their commitment to hoist the flag of Ghana high.
How can we develop all the ties that we now have and improve them? Economic diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, educational exchanges. Ours is now the task to be visionary and think on how to build on those.
All right, let's turn our attention to health now. A group of unemployed nurses picketed the Ministry of Health to demand immediate postings because they say that they have not been given the necessary attention, and that they had been there for 3 days. The Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid, assured them that the Health Ministry is liaising with the Finance Ministry to secure financing for them to be posted.
The coalition, made up of over 3,000 trained nurses from various private nursing training schools, lamented that government had consistently discriminated against them by prioritizing the recruitment of their colleagues trained in public nursing training schools. Addressing a news conference at the Ministry of Health, Sector Minister Kwekwa Jiman-Menu said the picketing was unnecessary as there are ongoing plans to resolve the issue.
We are trying to assist, though government has no legal obligation, not a commitment. We have constraints, and we don't control, how do I call it, the budget. The finance minister is also very conscious not to overrun compensation in its implementing the budget, because we all seriously are working to stabilize the macro environment, to bring sanity into management of our finances. And therefore, I sit here as a minister I cannot go ahead to recruit when I know very well that there is no cover to pay for them.
The Minister for Information, Mustafa Hamid, who later addressed the aggrieved nurses, assured them that the Ministry of Health is working with the Finance Ministry to secure financial clearance for their postings.
The Minister for Health, even though he doesn't have an obligation to engage you, is fighting hard for you with the Ministry of Finance to get financial clearance for your engagement. We are just 6 months in government. We have employed 14,566 nurses. That should tell you the commitment that we have towards your profession. I am begging you to take the minister's word for it.
Spokesperson for the group is Frederick Barr.
We have agreed that we are going. As I'm speaking to you now, some of us are coming from northern region, eastern region, and also some of us are also in Accra here. So with immediate effect, we agree to whatever you are saying as children in good faith. And we believe you and know you do something.
Various groups of trainee and trained nurses have in recent times protested against the government over similar issues of delayed postings. Some have had to picket at the Ministry of Health for nights before securing their posting.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Akoto Afriyie, has requested 1 month to secure financial clearance for graduates of College of Education. The aggrieved graduates also besieged the ministry to demand immediate employment.
Numbering over 50, the disgruntled graduates picketed at the Ministry of Agriculture to demand employment, with some having completed school as far back as 2010.
And if indeed they are saying we are the backbone of this country, then indeed we want to see that backbone reflecting in our lives.
A member of the General Agriculture Workers Union of TUC, Ajimendria, has expressed disappointment over government's failure to get the graduates employed.
The situation we are living in is uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, and we cannot more continue in that situation. That something must be done, and it must be done immediately. We don't want the next group of agricultural college graduates to come and add to the number. It makes the thing so complex and complicated.
The Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Akoto Afriyie, asked for a month to resolve their concerns.
The thing is that we don't have a budget to employ them as full-time, and we are using this 1 year service to see who is good and who is not good. So we coming into office in 6 months and absorbing a third of them instantly should tell them that we are very serious for them, so they should exercise patience.
All right, so in other related stories having to do with agriculture, what we know is that allowances for agriculture students, that's the student trainees, is to be restored by government. The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture gave the assurance when he met with the Agricultural College Students Union, who picketed the ministry seeking government's position on the allowance which was withdrawn in 2015 by the previous administration.
According to the students, the protest has become necessary following fruitless engagement with government over the past 2 years. In August 2015, a letter signed by the then Deputy Finance Minister Atoforsen addressed to the Agric Minister called for the cancellation of the trainee allowances. It was subsequently withdrawn during the 2015-2016 academic year. However, some 9,649,389 cedis was allocated to pay continuing students the allowances for the 2013-2014 academic year. But the students contend this was contrary to the arrangement as advertised by government.
We petitioned the then government. We did all our best, went through all the organogram of MOPA. We went to the Human Resource Director, the Chief Director, and even the Minister, to get a response from them concerning this issue, or to know our bill. This new government also came in. We wrote a series of letters. We even held a series of press conferences.
After a 2-hour meeting With the Deputy Minister, Dr. Sagri Bangbangi, they were assured of government's readiness to restore the allowances.
We are going to restore it because if we are restoring teacher trainee allowance, and you know the number of teacher trainees are much more than the number of agricultural, training students. So I can assure you that we'll get back to it.
The minister further indicated steps being taken to absorb the graduates who were awaiting postings.
We are seeking financial clearance to start posting some of the trainees who have left school several years ago. And so it is not possible for us, when we get the clearance, to be able to absorb all of them at a time. We will have to do it piecemeal.
The students threatened to return if government failed on its promises.
All right, so let's go to that big story that seemed to have dominated media discussions in the last few days. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, is charging Ghanaians not to pay the mandatory road tolls, which is expected to commence in September. They said the entire project must be rejected by well-meaning Ghanaians.
If you want to get to prevent vehicles from breaking down on the roads, that should be the first step. That is to ensure that vehicles that even get onto our roads are themselves good enough to get onto our roads. What we have found as a chamber is that most of the vehicles that often break down are the bigger trucks that have exceeded 20 years. And so if these trucks after 20 years are breaking down with the sort of speed we see them break down, and we need to prevent them breaking down, could we have a policy that says such trucks should now do only 50 kilometers radius and shouldn't go above or beyond 100, so that they can at least be able to work without necessarily posing a danger to all of us? It doesn't look we are looking to solve the problem. We have put the monetization of the whole system ahead of real solutions. Ghanaians have said in the past that this policy is wrong. It is not wrong because towing is wrong. Towing is ongoing today. People whose vehicles break down one way or the other find vehicles to tow them. Sometimes you even find a private car towing another private car. It's not right, but they move it to safety. We are saying that if you would need to solve the issue of carnage on our roads, use a scientific basis, right, to arrive at what sort of vehicles are breaking down. Are the tires we importing into the country of good specification? Is the fuel we're using on the roads very good? Are the roads being maintained such that the sort of potholes we see, that sometimes you move in swerving a pothole, you jump into another car, are we fixing these problems to ensure our roads are safe, or we are only putting collecting of monies from the people ahead of everything else? We think that the committee has done a very lazy job. They were asked to consult further. Most of other operators that I have spoken to were not consulted. They didn't even have an idea. It looks as though people would want to go ahead and collect monies, the public sympathy thing, as an excuse that accidents are happening. Who says that if we are all even paying $100,000 today, accidents will stop happening? Who said if we are all paying $100,000 today, vehicles will still not break down on our roads? Is that the solution to the problem? We do not think so.
All right, so that is the view of COPEC about the towing levy that a lot of Ghanaians seem to be indifferent about. There are those who are in favor of it, there are those who are against it, and one such institution is COPEC. But let's find out what AMANI Ghana thinks. We woke up today to a 32-pointer message circulating in the media, purportedly coming from AMANI, trying to break down how this levy is going to be paid, what it entails, and why they want to share their opinion on it. Kofi Bentil is the Vice President of AMANI Ghana. He's joined us via Skype. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Great. To start with, is AMANI in support or against? And if yes or no, what would your main reasons be?
Thank you. Let me correct something. AMANI hasn't issued a 32-page response or position on this matter.
A 32-pointer social media message?
Oh, a social media message. Please, let's just be clear. It's CGM, that is Citizen Ghana Movement, that has issued a release on this. But our position is similar to the rest of civil society and the many voices that are speaking. Our position is that the present laws are sufficient for ensuring that vehicles that break down our roads will be towed. Secondly, this monetization of crisis and profiteering from crisis must stop. The National Road Safety Commission should do its job. What the officials are saying is tantamount to saying that they are incompetent, they cannot do their job, and so they must not be in their office. Now, if they are saying parked vehicles are causing accidents, we all appreciate that problem and we want it solved. The solution is towing and effective towing systems. The solution is not necessarily paying money or putting money behind that. Secondly, there are many other things that the National Road Safety Commission should be focusing on and dealing. There are low-hanging fruit, things that are very immediate, like street lights on the motorway, where we collect tolls. Okay, so many different things cause accidents. Parked abandoned vehicles are one of those things. And I don't think that they must be spending all their time trying to tax everybody in this country to give to one person so that they will tow vehicles across Ghana. It simply doesn't make sense.
And so for the National Road Safety Commission to come out to say that 40% of road accidents are as a result of, broken down vehicles on many of our roads, you do not think that this approach would at least reduce that, or it is the approach that you have a problem with, not the fact that we are getting broken down vehicles off the roads?
Well, I am yet to see the source data by which they concluded that almost half of all accidents in this country are due to stationary vehicles. I don't believe it. But as a researcher, I'd like to see the data first before I make an emphatic comment. And like I said, I don't think there is anybody who doubts that, for instance, street lights on the Tema motorway are crucial and they will save lives if they were put there. Indeed, if there was a parked vehicle but the place was well lit, it's likely you won't run into it. My point is that even if that were the case, there is a difference between towing and toll levy. Collecting levies for a problem does not guarantee they will be solved. We collect levies for street lights in this country. We don't have street lights. We collect road toll levies. We don't have good roads. Even where the tolls are collected on the motorway and other places, sometimes where the toll is being collected, you have all kinds of potholes there. So collecting a levy does not guarantee that the job will be done. And in the specific case of towing, we have been towing in this country forever. And if we implement existing laws on towing, which is to say, if you leave your car in town for more than 1 hour, it will be clamped and towed away, and you'll be penalized for it. Otherwise, your car will be auctioned. Or if you leave it for more than 2 hours on the highway, it will be clamped and towed away. Otherwise, your car will be auctioned. That alone is enough. And they can use whoever wants to do this towing business to do that job now. The only difference is that they want to be paid before they do the job. Right. When everywhere else, people are paid after they do the job. We think the National Road Safety Commission to get back and work.
So the problem now seems to be hydra-headed. There is the component of the fact that it is one company that is going to be undertaking this project, and then the bit about leaving out all other companies that also have the capacity to undertake this project. But then what would Imani's suggestion be to clearing vehicles off our roads, broken down ones? Of course, that is the core of this discussion.
I've said it many times. The suggestion is to enforce present laws. And by the way, whether they use one company or other companies, it's a bad idea to institute a road toll levy. The point that is being made, however, is that that whole road toll levy is not even intended for towing. That is why they are using one company. Now, we are not saying that to mean that they should use more companies. We are saying that this is a bad idea. This is somebody's scheme. He's managed to get people to pass a law over it so he can make his money and go on like he has done in the past. So the issue is not whether you bring more people. It is just wrong to institute a towing levy because today, as we speak, the towing system has not failed. National Road Safety Commission, the police and district assemblies, if they want to do their job, can do their job. And I think that is what they must do.
And we should get them to do their job. I think that is also another bone of contention. Yes, we have laws that indicate what should be done. But whose responsibility is it to enforce that these laws are undertaken?
It is the police and local authorities, either a district assembly or a metropolitan assembly. It's that simple. There is no complexity to this. If you go and park your car in the wrong place in Accra, AMA will come and tow it. That is all. If the car is parked on a highway, we have a highway authority, and the Ghana police is there, and they have a local authority. That is their job. They are simply not doing it. And they must just go on and do that job. And they don't have to have their own towing equipment to do that. All they need is to work with existing towing companies like Josport and Co. Use their vehicles, because when they are charged the penalty, a good chunk of it will go to the towing companies. I don't know why that is a difficulty, why they don't want to get down and do the work. All they want to do is create a scheme that gives them millions of dollars at the beginning.
Someone should sue them, don't you think? Someone should sue the company, the local government institutions that are not doing this. Do you not think that we should go to court to get them to work?
I don't think Ghanaians are sufficiently angry at certain things. Because you're right. If you have an accident on the road, you have a cause of action against the person who left the car there, the district assembly within which that accident happened. Because they have a duty of care to you. They have a responsibility to have cleared that vehicle, but nobody has taken it up. And I think if we started doing some of those things, these local authorities will set up. If you have an accident which is caused by the negligence of somebody, if you fall even into a gutter that must not be open, you have a cause of action and you should press it up. Because in other places, that will be something that will gain you a good enough compensation. Then they will set up and do their work. So I think we should all try that.
Okay, thank you so much for making time to speak with us, Mr. Kofi Bentel. He is the Vice President of AMANI Ghana, a policy think tank, sharing their thoughts on the debate about the levy and the tolls that we are supposed to be paying effective September. We want you to also tell us what you think, because it looks like it starts yes and then there is a major no hitting it, but we'll be glad to hear from you as well. Go to our various social media pages and send us a comment. We'll be glad to read it. Let's go to the courts now. Lawyer for the 20 suspects in the Major Maxwell Mohammed murder trial, that is George Bernard Shaw, has indicated that there are some challenges with the charge sheet that has been brought before some of his clients. Now, he said that the prosecution had stated in the brief of facts that the assemblyman of Dentreboase, William Barr, organized the suspects to perpetrate the crime against the soldier, which he thinks is to the contrary. Komla Kluche is our court correspondent and is giving us an update on that. Komla, what's happening in court?
By prosecution in the case, one of which they have indicated in court today as that William Barr, the assemblyman for the area, had organized some of the suspects to perpetrate the crime against the late soldier. The lawyer has indicated that the facts before him, as briefed by the clients that he represents, does not state as the prosecution says it. He will speak to us shortly to tell us what facts that he has got or what instructions he has received from his the clients that he represents, and what it is that is at variance with what they have told the court today. Lawyer George Bernard Shaw joins us. So a very good afternoon to you. Not a very lengthy case in court today, but you were very explicit. You stated that the facts or the briefings that you have do not represent what the state is leveling against your client.
Thank you very much. But for a start, I need to clarify some points. I do not represent all the defendants, but for the sake of the convenience of the court, I stood it for them. But in relation to what you just said, the facts as presented by the... You heard what was stated in court. Obviously, there's client-lawyer privilege that I'm not supposed to divulge to you. And also, I'm not going to comment on present, what they call it, ongoings at court, deliberations, proceedings at court. But all I can say is that, yes, what my instructions, especially in relation to William Barr, is not as was presented in court.
He denies it categorically. Is that the case?
Well, you heard what was said in court. It's basically, it is not as they said. The process of trial, that's why it's so important to have a proper judicial inquiry in the true spirit of rule of law, so that the facts will come out and what they say, and then the evidence that will be adduced will be tested. And if it reaches the threshold of going beyond reasonable doubt, as the criminal law demands, then the law will take its course.
When do you intend to challenge this?
Oh, when the trial begins. But obviously, given the nature of the case, we might be going to court, the High Court, or maybe for bail. And at some stage, even though that might not form part of the main application, it might be relevant in securing them their bail. But the main challenge will happen when the trial begins.
At the last sitting, the lawyer that represented you indicated your determination to go for bail, but they were holding on pending the advice of the AG. When do you intend to push for bail?
Obviously, I won't say openly our tactics, but a lot of factors will impinge on the decision to make a bail application, not least the welfare of the accused persons as well. Because as you know, there's a public uproar against what many perceive to be an unjustified killing, which we subscribe to because nobody deserves to die that way. But again, it's a court of law and the evidence will prove whatever the facts will reveal. So how would you intend to challenge that? Because you see, we need some information from the police, and based on that, and also given the general brouhaha surrounding the whole case, we want public sentiments to die down, and then we take the appropriate course. So I cannot put a finger on the date, but a lot of factors will underpin the making of that decision.
Lastly, you also stated that the process may lead to the suspect losing track of what they need to say in terms of the testimonies they would have to give and all that. How do you find the cooperation between you and the police, the pace at which they're going?
You say, I cannot fault, the prosecutor and the police service in general, because they are also working under some constraints. But you see, as I made clear in court, it's not for nothing that there's the constitutional provision that trial must be heard in a very reasonable time. Unreasonable delay causes a lot of problems, not least witnesses losing track of what happened. If I ask you now, you will find it, or you will struggle to tell me what you exactly did 2 weeks ago. Now we're getting to 3 or 4 months since this thing started. Then you want them to recall whatever happens. And if the evidence is tainted, then people maybe try to make it up, and then it has a whole lot of problems. So all we're asking is for them to speed up the trial, and then so that justice will be finally decided. And because justice denied is delayed, is justice denied.
I'm grateful. That's counsel for the accused persons, George Bernard Shaw speaking there. Now, one other thing that happened in court today had to do with the fact that a 20th accused person, Kojo Fojo, who has been accused of being an accomplice and with the fact as presented by the court, whether he, so to speak, took the phone of the late soldier, was also added to the 19, making it 20. He has also been remanded into prison custody. The court have subsequently adjourned the case pending the advice by the Attorney General's Department for the case to resume on September 7th, 2017. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
All right, thank you very much, Komla Kuchi from the court. Now, let's turn our attention to issues regarding sanitation. So, 20 notices and 14 summons have been issued to traders at the Kaneshie market for selling under unsanitary conditions. The move, we are told, is part of the Accra Metropolitan Authority's decision to deal with filth that has engulfed major parts of the city.
10 officers from the Environmental Protection and Standards Enforcement of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly were at the Kaneshie Market Wednesday to issue summons and notices to traders who flouted the sanitation bylaws of the Assembly. This has been necessitated as the AMA has served notice to get tough on sanitation offenders to realize President Nana Akufo-Addo's dream of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. The public health officers combed the market to check traders that sell close to insanitary drains and those that display their foodstuff less than 3 feet from the ground. Here, notices and summons were served to offenders. The officer in charge, Environmental Protection and Standards Enforcement of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Samuel Tete, says offenders will be arraigned and put before courts for prosecution.
We have issued 20 notices to people and 14 summonses. In fact, a week today, the summonses will be served on those recalcitrant people. We have also sensitized some people. We have also asked some people to take their wares, as it were, from the background, to where they are supposed to be.
He however highlighted on some challenges.
It is difficult to get the names of the culprits. Sometimes you ask somebody, what is your name? And it's like it takes 5 minutes even to mention the name. Some give you wrong names. We can identify the people. So if you tell me you are called Ama and I serve you with summons bearing the name Ama and we go to court and you say you are not Ama, we will change the name there.
In a related development, the Environmental Service Providers Association, ASPA, the umbrella body of the waste management companies, has stepped up its campaign to provide sustainable environmental sanitation. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly recently reintroduced the Samansama concept. Samansama is a local word, we'll explain that later. That concept has been reintroduced and that will ensure a cleaner city and also ensure well-being of all Ghanaians. We've been joined in studio by the Executive Secretary of the Environmental Services Providers Association, Amma Ofori-Intwi, to tell us more about what exactly the ESPA will be doing in collaboration with government and to ensure that, like the President said, Accra in the next few years will be the cleanest city, not only in West Africa, but on the continent as a whole. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Amma.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity.
To start with, the AMA, we know, has gone to Kaneshie to issue, summons, and is it part of what they are doing with you, part of the collaboration, or is there any collaboration at all?
Yes, we have a lot of collaboration going on. The Environmental Service Providers Association is an association of private waste contractors, and with our work, we work closely with all the assemblies, in the sense that waste management has been outsourced to the private sector. Okay. So when it comes to sanitation in the country, ESPA, or the Environmental Service Providers, we have a key role to play. For us, I would say that we were very excited when the new government came out with the Sanitation and Water Ministry. And we've also been excited about the fact that there's a political will now, especially from His Excellency himself, that he wants to see Accra, or Ghana for that fact, being the cleanest by the end of his tenure. So we've had a lot of engagements now. A lot has been done with the Sanitation and Water Ministry, likewise AMA. But currently, there's going to be a national evacuation where ESPA is going to play a key role. The Sanitation and Water Ministry is also planning to launch a national campaign where we'll get people to change their attitude.
Okay, what would the role be? I mean, are we tackling the problem the right way, the problem of filth and sanitation? Maybe you have other parties that will have different roles they play. But do you think that as the Environmental Service Providers Association, you have worked effectively in the last years to at least still be in the position to help us fight this filth?
Yes, as I indicated earlier on, we are the key stakeholders. And I must say, had it not been for the private sector, the sanitation situation would have been worse off than it is now. When it comes to sanitation,
so what we have now is better.
What we have, it has improved. The situation has improved. But currently, what is happening has more to do with attitude now. Okay. And then we also need the basic infrastructures in place so that we can all overcome this challenge. Attitude is key. We also need the basic infrastructures. What we've all been hiding or running away from is the fact that sanitation is a social service, likewise a municipal service. Okay. So it also cost intensive. It involves a lot of money to go into in any form of sanitation, even if we want to do recycling, even if we want to do whatever form of work we want to do as far as sanitation is concerned.
So the campaign we have been running, when is it starting? Has it started? What is expected?
For us, as I indicated earlier on, we are in collaboration with the Sanitation and Water Ministry. But as ESPA, we want the government to know that we are the key stakeholders to work with. And we have also stationed ourselves strategically so that we could partner and ensure that the dream of His Excellency is achieved.
Is achieved. Okay. We've been speaking with Ama Ofori Entry. She's the Executive Director of the Environmental Service Providers Association, and they are intensifying the campaign to ensure that the President's vision of having Ghana and Accra, for that matter, the cleanest in the West African sub-region, is achieved in Africa as a whole. Thank you very much for making time. We'll be keeping a keen eye on your activities and that of your partners to make sure that at least Accra is clean. Thank you for making time to speak with us. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to our big headline story that we are looking at for you. That has to do with the development at Aveeno. We are told that there is heavy security at the Aveeno area in Accra following clashes between some spare part dealers and workers of a private developer on Wednesday. The two factions are laying claim to a piece of land said to be a private property, no, a state property actually. They both have been stopped from developing the land following an interlocutory injunction. But one of the factions on Wednesday allegedly poured petrol on the vast land. One vehicle was touched in the process, but for the timely intervention of the police, the two factions would have caused mayhem on the said piece of land, which has a mosque and a number of articulated vehicles. Let's go to Godfred Tanam, who is there and has joined us live. Godfred, what's happening there now?
Let's do it quickly and then... Yeah. All right. Currently at Aveeno in Accra, where there was a clash between some two groups of people last night, leading to some injuries. Quickly, we have the inspector who is manning this. We have him here, and I want to just quickly speak with him. And say, someone has just been arrested. Is it in connection with the issue that happened yesterday?
Yes, let me say the same issue, because the contractor pointed out that he was the one who is pouring the petrol. Who's sprinkling the petrol around the area.
Yeah, so he was trying to burn the area with petrol and
petrol.
So now, no, it's live. Please, let's finish.
Let's go. Let's send me and come on.
You just quickly. So
let's send me and come on.
I don't worry. All right, so that is it. One man has been arrested, and he's saying that he was trying to burn the land where they have issues with, and he's been sent to the police station right now, and it's been confirmed. One person has been arrested just right now, and we have so this man is going to be sent to the police station. He has just been arrested by the police. So you can see people are around here to actually witness exactly what is happening here, and this is the exact spot where the incident happened, leading to some injuries. And we have MVP police vehicles here maintaining peace and order. So quickly, we'll be speaking with the man who's in charge of the Yes, he's here. So we're speaking with the man who is in charge of the Alhaji Chief Surugu Laman. You are constructing a structure on the government's property. Can you tell us about that? Why that?
Yeah, if you say it's government property, you are just making mistake. This is the building permit. We have obtained the building permit. So when the building permit is there, that means the land has been leased to us. As you know, you can see the building.
It's been leased by who?
So it's not by the Ghana Railway Corporation.
Which is a state property.
Yes. We have the lease here. I'm just showing you. It's not something verbal.
Right. So what exactly are you doing on the land?
Here we are developing a shops and a modern car terminal. That anytime that we start to do the work, these people, they are not here. They are coming far from somewhere. When they reach here, they started burning, wounding people. As I'm talking to you, I have 2 serious injuries. 1 carpenter and 1 mason. The carpenter is almost dead. They came with knives. I'll show you some footages.
So if you say they are not here, why would they come and invade? Are they also not working on the land?
They are not working on the land because we here leased to us by the Ghana Railway since 1983, and they are not our members.
Yeah. So why would they come to?
Yes, why they came here is their spare parts and mechanics. We are the GPRTU, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. We were here since 1983. These papers, people have to come and rely on us to give them some place to sell their spare parts and then to do their mechanic work. We started giving them a place, but it reached to a stage that we can't even control the place because the place were choked by, wooden kiosks and other things. So we have to call in by the Ghana AMA for assistance to come and then clean the place. So they came and cleaned the place. After the cleaning, we rewrite to Ghana Railway that we want to develop the place. What are the details? So we were approved. Then we draw our plans and went to, environmental protection, and we were obtained, and we went to fire and we were obtained.
Right, okay, so thank you so much. That was Chief Surugu Laman, who's overseeing the construction of the structure on this land that is has issues right now. From Aveeno in Accra, Godfrey Tanner reporting for TV3 News.
All right, thank you very much, Godfrey Tanam. And we are keeping an eye on that development. We'll keep you posted with subsequent happenings, but at least the good news is that the police are there to keep some calm and sanity. This is still Midday Live. When we return, we'll be bringing you the latest in the world of sports with Yao Ofosulade. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. Let's do business before we bring you the sports. The minority in Parliament has accused the Finance Minister of distorting the figures during the mid-year review. On Monday, spokesperson on finance, Ato Forsen, at a press conference in Accra says the minister reduced the domestic interest payment by over 657 million cedis just to make the government look good.
The minority says for the minister to reverse the interest payments amounting to 758 million cedis violates the long-standing cut-off rule and called on the Auditor General and Parliament to investigate.
This doctrine of figures is very shameful. This is to say the least, is very regrettable and cosmetic. The Minister of Finance has reduced domestic interest payments by an amount of 657 million and 5271 Ghana cedis to create the impression that the expenditure on domestic interest payment is being reduced. This is clearly artificial, compressed and contrived. It is a blatant disregard for cut-off fiscal rules in accordance with the Financial Administration Act.
The minority spokesperson on finance said what the minister did could affect investor confidence.
If you look at the budget carefully, they are projecting that the cash deficit on cash basis, they are revising it from 6.5% to 6.3%. But that is not the case. The interest payment that relates to January 2017, they are crediting it to 2016. It cannot be the case. And so therefore, the right position is that 6.8% is projected in terms of cash deficit, but not 6.3%.
All right, so that's it for Business on Midday Live. We'll be back with sports. Hi, good afternoon. It's now time for sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Fosulabi, and to the running story this week, representatives of PSG and Neymar arrived at La Liga's offices on Thursday to deposit the £189 million to trigger his release clause from Barcelona, but the organization did not accept it. The organization deems it impossible that Paris Saint-Germain can finance a move for the Brazilian without violating the financial fair play regulations imposed by UEFA. Neymar's transfer has been a subject of speculation all week, with the player openly stating he wants to leave the club and Paris Saint-Germain ready to match his hefty tag of £189 million. The La Liga board wants justification on how PSG are financing the deal to avoid shadiness as witnessed in other transfer dealings of this sort in the past. If PSG sorts that out, Neymar will be their player. To our next story now, Birmingham City manager Harry Redknapp has revealed his disappointment at missing out on Ghana midfielder Emmanuel Agyemang-Badu after the midfielder joined Bursaspor instead of Birmingham City. Redknapp hoped the former Kumasi Asante Kotoko star will choose the English Championship and claims Badu gave him his word before turning his back on a proposed move. The Englishman watched Badu in action against Huddersfield Town in a friendly and was convinced he had locked a deal down for Badu, only to discover that he has swerved him to opt for Turkey. Now let's do some more news now. The countdown to Sunday's massive game between Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko is on. The Phobians have had a fairly good season, largely because of their star midfielder Thomas Abe, who is ready to spearhead them to victory against the Porcupine Warriors. He is undeniably the best player on the local scene now. Match after match, Thomas Abe has dragged Accra Hearts of Oak from the brink of defeat to victory, picking up Man of the Match awards for fun, and he has scored goals too, notching up 12 in the league so far. But on Sunday, he would need to deliver his best yet against Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Abe knows what a meeting against the arch rivals means and is up for it.
I think we are 100% ready for them in Baba Yara Sports Stadium. So going there, I think we are well prepared to face them.
For a midfielder, Abe's form is hugely impressive, but he's refusing to let that get to him.
I feel so happy to be in that show at the moment, and I would thank my teammates and those who encourage me to do that. That's why I'm now exceptional. Hard work and focus and motivation from behind. That's why I'm on top now.
Hearts fans will hope on Sunday he comes to life again in a match that has come to define Ghana football. All right, so let's bring you the details now. On the 2nd of August 2004, a music legend passed on. The prolific high life composer is credited with songs like Ebetoda, and then Time, which in English means time changes, and then If You Do Good, You Do For Yourself. What do Ghanaians remember about Akwesi Ampofo Ejay, also known as AAA, 13 years after his passing? Osuwarai finds out.
Akwesi Ampofo Ejay, a teacher by profession, ended up in music. The celebrated high life composer is remembered for his sterling exploits in a career that spanned over 3 decades. Credited with over 35 songs, AAA churned out several moral-shaping songs. His song, Time Changes, advised fans to make the best out of every situation, cautioning no condition is permanent. Known for his proverbial lyrical capability, Akwesi Ampofo-Adjei was also recognized for his classic If You Do Good and A Better Da. Strangely, some Ghanaians have not the slightest idea about the legend.
He's one of the old politicians in Ghana.
Let me see, I can't remember of his song.
This was his response after the reporter offered a clue.
He's the person who sang it. Oh, I like the song. I like it, I love it.
But to the older generation, there is nostalgia when talking about Mr. AAA.
Which of the songs do you remember?
If you do good, do for yourself. If you do bad, do for yourself. Minimum kind of for you, can I say? Obenya for you, Bunobe, Yankanasem, Obenya for you, Bunobe.
In the song says, if you do good, you do for yourself, and if you do bad, you do for yourself. Meaning that in this world, whatever you sow, you will reap.
Always try and do good, and good will follow you. When you do bad, bad is awaiting you.
I mean, you happen to get a lot of advice from his songs. I think also that it's high time Ghanaians do well to patronize such songs, and then also do well to learn a lot of things from them.
The late Akwesi Ampofo-Adjei trained great composers like Abranti Amachidede, Daddy Lumba, and KK Kabobo.
All right, so it looks as if the current generation is losing touch with the legends of old, which shouldn't be the case. It means that we are not archiving their content properly. That's an indictment on us as a nation, but we would intend to do that as TVC. That's it for the bulletin. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. Do have a good afternoon. As always, stay positive. Bye for now.